Gospel, chapter 11, verse 28. Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light.
Our reading today is just 2 verses long, and yet it is full of hope and love. There is the hope that is freely available to us all, and surely it's what we all long for. There is love, the love that upholds and sustains us. It's love that holds people and communities together. In this reading, Jesus is speaking to men and women who were desperately trying to find God and desperately trying to lead good lives. But they were finding this almost impossible. In fact, they were weighed down by the sheer size of the task. They were weary and were beginning to despair. At times like that, we all need a leader who can share our burdens with us. It's at the point of despair, when the disciples needed him most, that Jesus speaks these wonderful words. Come to me, all you who are weary and are heavy burdened. But he doesn't stop there. He goes on to say, and I will give you rest. How many of us long for rest from all the things that weigh us down? Perhaps if we take a moment, we too might hear Jesus say to us, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. He says, my yoke is easy. At that time, the Jews used the phrase, the yoke, as a term of entering into or submission. They would often speak of the yoke of the law, the yoke of the commandments, the yoke of the kingdom. But it may well be that Jesus took the words of this invitation from something a little nearer home. In Palestine, ox yokes were all made of wood. The ox was brought and measurements taken, and the yoke was roughed out. Later, the ox would be brought back to try the yoke for size and to make sure that it was comfortable. The yoke would be carefully adjusted so as to fit well. The yoke was tailor-made to fit each animal. According to William Barclay, an author of many biblical commentaries and a minister in the Church of Scotland, he suggests that there is a legend that Jesus made the best ox yokes in all of Galilee, and people came from all over the country to buy the best yokes. No farmer wanted a yoke that will gall or rub or create sores. No animal will give of its best if it is suffering or in pain. So when Jesus says, my yoke fits well, he is talking of a life with him that will not be a burden and will certainly not gall people. The task is made to measure and fits well, however hard that may seem to us at times. This time of the year, there are many of us who carry heavy loads. There is the expectation of Christmas, the extra work that it might bring, our health, and the health of those we love. Then there are the financial concerns. Also, there's a feeling of being overwhelmed by our responsibilities, or perhaps of being alone at this time of the year. Many of us are weary to some degree. What do we do at these times? How do we handle the weariness? Do we carry our burdens alone? Or do we take our burdens, our anxieties, and our weariness to Jesus and ask Him for the grace and the rest that we need? This is our hope. Wouldn't it be wonderful if simply taking our worries and our weariness to Jesus, He could make everything right? However, we know from experience that this doesn't always happen. Our concerns and our worries may still be with us. But if we are able to bring them to Jesus, He will give us the strength we need to keep going and to keep on hoping. Place your anxieties, fears or worries into His hands and trust Him, remembering that it's not that the burden is easy to carry, but that it is laid on us in love. It is meant to be carried in love, and love makes even the heaviest burden light. When we remember the love of God, we can carry our burdens in the knowledge that God walks with us and at times will indeed carry us. Do you remember that song by the Hollies? He ain't heavy, he's my brother. I want to read you some of the lyrics, perhaps inserting the odd word of my own as well. The road is long, with many a winding turn, that leads us to who knows where. But I'm strong, strong enough to carry him, 'cause he ain't heavy, he's my brother. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. If I'm laden at all, I'm laden with sadness, that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love for one another. The load doesn't weigh me down at all, for he's my brother. Perhaps this Christmas time we could think of our brothers and sisters who are weighed down. Yes, even the brothers and sisters we have never met and who live in parts of the world we will never visit. Remember the words of that song. If I'm laden at all, I'm laden with sadness, that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love for one another. May this Christmas time be a time of rest from all your burdens, and a time to remember that loving each other, no matter who they are, is the best way of sharing each other's burdens. Amen.